Do you ever feel like no matter how much you work on yourself, it's never enough? Like there's always another habit to master, another flaw to fix, another version of yourself to become? That is the trap of self-improvement, the belief that who you are now isn't enough. But what if real growth doesn't come from fixing yourself, but from unfolding into who you already are? My name is Michelle Shelton. I'm a registered dietitian and a certified coach. And today we're going to talk about the difference between self-improvement versus self-unfolding, and how focusing more on self-unfolding can have the greatest impact on your journey to health and well-being and to thriving. Let's dive in. So let's talk about self-improvement first. Self-improvement often starts from a belief that there's something wrong with you. It focuses on deficits, what's missing, what needs fixing, or what's not measuring up. This mindset can lead to endless striving, comparison, and self-criticism, always chasing worth instead of resting in it. Always chasing somebody else's gifts instead of owning your own. In self-improvement, the focus is external, meeting somebody else's definition of success, of beauty, of health, or of value. If this sounds familiar, it's because we all fall into this at times. The desire to develop and grow is part of our human nature. I haven't met anybody who doesn't desire to grow and to develop and to become their best self. We can get caught in the belief that other people have it figured out, and so we need to be like them. We need to do it their way. But what if the truth was that you have the answers to your life, and what you really need is to be more like you? So here's the shift. I want to invite you to consider shifting from self-improvement to self-unfolding. Self-unfolding isn't about fixing yourself. It's about discovering yourself. It's a process of revealing what's already whole, not repairing something that is broken. It's based in trust. Trust in your inherent worth, trust in your natural gifts, trust in your divine unfolding. There's divinity in you, there's greatness in you, and we're just allowing that to unfold. You don't need to improve who you are, you need to remember who you are. We all go through a process of forgetting, right, as we receive external expectations and cultural norms and societal expectations, and we have these layers that lead us to forgetting. And so it's a process of remembering who you are. When you move from striving to trusting, growth becomes organic, right? Like a flower that's opening on its own time and in its own way. If you force it open, it can never be as beautiful as it naturally is, right? In its own time and in its own way. It's marked by a shift from deficiency to enoughness, from brokenness to wholeness, and from doing to being. It's about being all in on you, right? All in on you. You're still developing, right? This is still a path of growth. Self-improvement, right? We have this deep desire to grow. This is still about growth. There's development in your gifts, development in your talents. You're learning and you're growing, but you're learning about yourself. You're learning about your gifts. You're learning about what matters to you, your values and your core beliefs, your standards, your own definitions for life. You're discovering your own strength and your courage, right? There's so much growth on this path, but it's from a place of wholeness. Let's lean into this reframe a little bit. Development in self-unfolding versus development in self-improvement. Okay, in self-improvement, development looks like addition. Adding new skills, new habits, new achievements, a new, better version of yourself. It's linear, it's measurable, it's often fueled by comparison, right? That outward looking. You look outside of yourself to figure out who to become, right? That's self-improvement. In self-unfolding, development looks like revelation, peeling back layers of conditioning, of fear, and striving so that your natural essence can come forward. It's organic, it's cyclical, it's grounded in trust, and you're looking inward to remember who you already are. Okay, another example, in self-improvement, you set goals to fix what's wrong. Growth is achievement-based, and you earn your self-worth by progress. Motivation comes from dissatisfaction and fear of not being enough, and you often measure success by external validation or by visible change. And the self is something to manage, optimize, or master. right? This is where that control energy comes in. And anytime there's that control energy, you know it's not really coming from a healthy place. So an example may look like, I need to become more disciplined so I can finally be consistent with my workouts, right? The energy here is, I'm not enough until I fix this. In self-unfolding, you're cultivating awareness and curiosity. I love that word curiosity. That's such a powerful energy to live your life from, right? You're cultivating awareness and curiosity about what's already within you. Growth is integration based. You become more whole, not more perfect. Motivation comes from love and alignment, not fear or lack, right? As you're deepening the love for yourself and alignment with your system, right? That is what motivates you. Success is felt as peace, as resonance, and as authenticity. And the self is something sacred to meet, not a project to complete. Notice the shift in that energy. Self is something sacred to meet, not a project to complete. So an example here, I'm noticing how movement helps me feel alive and connected. I want more of that in my life, right? That's a very different energy from control, right? Self-control and it's a really different energy from that self-control in the other example. The energy is, I'm already enough and I'm learning how to express that more fully. Okay, so development looks different in these two frameworks, right? In self-improvement, development is doing, and in self-unfolding, development is becoming. Self-improvement builds skills, where self-unfolding builds wisdom. Self-improvement focuses on performance, where self-unfolding focuses on presence. So the shift here, right? True development, the kind that lasts, comes from unfolding, not from improving, right? Notice the deep shift and the difference in those two energies. True development, lasting change, comes from unfolding. When you unfold into your true nature, change stops being something you force, and it starts being something that flows, right? You're just naturally unfolding. It's like the course of nature. So to bring this together, let's look at these two, let's summarize these two energies, right? Self-improvement fixes deficits. It's based in lack. There's external measurement and achievement and approval. There's striving and control. You're earning your worth. There's hustle and pressure, and self is seen as a project. Versus self-unfolding, where you are revealing gifts. It's based in trust. There's internal guidance and cultivating that wisdom and intuition and purpose. It's allowing natural flow, expressing your worth. There's surrender and presence to your life as it is, showing up for your life as it is. And it's meeting self as sacred unfolding. You may have noticed that trust is an important part of this shift into self-unfolding. And so I want to take a minute to talk about the role of trust. Trust is the bridge between striving and surrender. Trusting in your body's wisdom, trusting in your intuition, trusting in your timing, trusting in the divine flow for your life. When you trust, you no longer need to prove, you can rest in being. And from that place, aligned action naturally flows. Trust doesn't mean doing nothing. It's a very active place. It means doing what's aligned and not what is forced, right? It's about aligned action instead of forced action, letting go of the control, right? The surrender. So there are 3 levels of trust that I want to invite you to think about. Think about your level on a scale of 0 to 10. Right? So what rating would you give? What is my level of trust in my gifts? 0 would be, I don't even know what my gifts are. I don't know if I have gifts. I don't know if I have something to offer. That would be 0. 10 is, I know what my gifts are. I believe in the value of my gifts in the world, and I can confidently express them with wisdom and discernment. Okay, 0 to 10, where do you fall in this moment? The next level of trust. What is my level of trust in my purpose? 0 means I don't know what my purpose is. And I'm maybe even skeptical of the idea of purpose. Is that even a thing? 10 is I have deep clarity on my purpose. And I know how to use my gifts to contribute to the fulfillment of that purpose. And I have the focus to live my purpose in any circumstance. Right? I can still live my purpose even if I don't love my job. I can still live into my purpose even if I don't feel fully connected to my community. I can still live my purpose even if I'm struggling in this relationship. Right? I have the focus to live my purpose in any circumstance. That's a 10. And the last level of trust. What is my level of trust in the divine? 0 means what divine? I'm on my own. I have no belief or sense of something outside of myself. Where 10 means I can surrender all things to the divine and trust that all things will work out to my good. Right? Whatever divine means or looks like to you, that's not necessarily important here, but what is your level of trust in something outside of you, right? To support and to bring good in your life. 0 to 10. And note that 10 is something that most of us are striving for, right? We don't really live in 10, right? We work towards 10. We work to deepen our trust moment by moment. So if it's not 10, that's okay. That's not the purpose of this exercise. The purpose is of awareness. What level of trust am I living from in my life, right? If I'm down and close to 0, there's maybe a lot of control energy in my life. If I'm up closer to 10, then I have that ability to surrender and to be present to my life as it is. I have the ability to lean into that self-unfolding. So let's talk a little bit about some practical ways to facilitate this shift. So there's some steps that you can practice, right, to begin this process in your life. And the first one always starts with noticing. Noticing when you're striving, when you're trying to earn your worth or fix yourself, or there's a lot of control, right? Just notice that. It's always the first step. And then after you notice is the pause, right? Start to create space. That's what a pause does. It creates some space. So pause and ask, what if I didn't need to fix this? What if this was something to understand and not correct? And then listen inward, because what's probably going to happen is you'll have some resistance, right? Parts that say, yes, I do need to fix this, or yes, I do need to control. And then just get curious. What part of you is trying to prove something? What part of you is trying to control something? What part of you is trying to manage something, right? To manage a fear. And what does it need from you, right? What fear does it hold? What is it concerned about, right? Just listen inward and get familiar with those inner parts, those inner voices that hold those energies. The next piece is to trust the process, right? Your healing, your timing, your unfolding, it's not a race, right? It's a direction. And just leaning into that direction of self-unfolding is the journey. And then nurture curiosity. That's one of my favorite words. We talk a lot about that here. Nurture curiosity instead of control. Be present with what's here, not what you think should be. Allow yourself to be fully present and curious about what's here. So some other practices, specific things that you can do. So working on cultivating your gifts. This is a big part of my coaching program, working with clients to understand their gifts, build their relationship with them. Nurturing and cultivating those gifts is really important. Practice coming back into your own energy. Who am I? What does it look like to be me when I have nothing else to do, when I have no demands on my time, when I feel fully safe to express myself? Who am I at those times? And one way to discover that is by spending time with yourself, right? It's time with yourself alone, journaling and meditation, spending time with the divine, also maybe in meditation or prayer, or spending time in nature, right? And then also therapy and coaching can be really helpful and powerful tools to start to unfold and peel back some of those layers that are preventing that self-unfolding, right? They can facilitate that work. So to pull this all together and to bring this to a close, this is what I want to leave you with. You were never meant to be a project. You were meant to be a presence. The more you unfold, the more your natural gifts, your confidence, and your peace will reveal themselves. So instead of asking, how can I improve myself? Maybe the better question is, how can I unfold myself? And if this message resonates with you, please don't forget to click subscribe or follow for more videos on healing your relationship with yourself and reconnecting to your inner wisdom. And if you're ready to move from self-improvement to self-unfolding, this is where the real transformation begins. If you are interested in coaching to support you on that journey, go to nourishwhoyouare.com. The link is in the video description, and you can sign up for a free coaching session and get an idea for how coaching can support you on your journey. So don't forget, go sign up for that free coaching session today. Again, click subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.